it's really a numbers game. So I identified a few target markets. I mentioned those cities already. And I identified the type of property I wanted. I wanted a 50-unit property with the opportunity to increase rents through renovation. That's what people normally call a value-add property. Within driving distance. I wanted, really the bottom line, a target return for investors of at least 15%. So that was in conversations I had with people that I thought might lend on this deal or invest in this deal or other deals. They said, yeah, 15% is enough for me to maybe pull some money out of stocks or invest the money that I have sitting in the bank or whatever they might have in a self-directed IRA. 15% is pretty attractive. So that was my target. Sort of like the bottom baseline that I would want. If I was looking at a deal and it was like 14, okay, look at it. But if it was coming in at like an 8 or 9, then that wasn't something that I was really interested in looking at. I knew that if it was a good deal, it was going to hit that 15% for the investors. And I'll talk about that. So we have my property criteria, building relationships, not only through meetups like this, but in the cities that I wanted to invest in. So this is a post I put on BiggerPockets 12 months ago. I pulled the screenshot today. 12 months ago, I said, I'm traveling down to Norfolk area on Friday, July 21st to see a few apartment buildings, one in Portsmouth, two in Norfolk. Can anyone recommend a local property manager who can handle a 50-unit building? And also, if any investors are interested, let's meet up and discuss real estate. So 2 things happened out of that post on BiggerPockets. I got a bunch of referrals for property management companies. I got a bunch of referrals for contractors, brokers, any person that you might need on your team. People started responding to this, not just property managers. And then we had 6 or 7 investors come out and meet us for drinks. My partner Kevin and I went down. So not only did we look at the property all day, met with the broker, we had the property managers come out. So basically what happened is I pre-screened a few companies that they had recommended. I pre-interviewed them. I had one company come to 2 of the properties. I had another company come to the other 2 properties, just to have them walk the properties with us, get a feel for how they look at property, what they see, the types of recommendations they give us. It's sort of like a walking interview for as long as it takes you to walk the property. So we got a really pretty good feel for it. And then the meetup at night, I was able to sort of discuss the area, the neighborhoods, the companies. These are investors that are either wholesaling or just getting started, or some of them have been in the area for a long time. We did the same thing in all the other cities. When we were in Richmond, this woman came with a map, and she had like the neighborhood circled, and she had notes about every neighborhood, and she gave it to us. She's like, because I had said we're interested in knowing more, and she came prepared with. She knows that because she lives there, just like your town. So why not leverage BiggerPockets and find out the knowledge that other people have? So now if I have a deal that I see in Richmond, I can text someone and say, hey, looks like this might be an interesting thing. Tell me about the neighborhood. And we have a phone call, right? So now I've got a network of people in each of these towns. And tell everyone what you are interested in. Your aunt, your cousin, person you meet on the bus, people at work. Because someone usually knows someone. I mean, we have our network here of real estate investors, but if you're going to raise capital for a project like this, you've also got to get outside of this little circle. Some people, you'll probably get some investors from networks like this, but also lots of investors have their own projects that they have going on. So you've got to find people that are looking for more of a passive return, that aren't looking to go buy a flip and run a project of their own. So. Okay, so when we did this in all the cities, all the towns, we made relationships with brokers. We take them out to lunch, we took them out to dinner, whatever it was, drinks, and just made a relationship, talked to them about what we're looking for. And then more importantly, when we got back home, either made an offer or we told them why the property we looked at didn't work. It was too big, it was too much renovation, not enough renovation. Rents were already at market rent or market rate, or we didn't feel like we liked the area. Whatever the reason is, be detailed and give that feedback to them and say, but when you get a property that looks like this, that has this criteria, call me. And then we followed up with all the brokers in all the different cities every 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks, but just a reminder on my calendar. Call Jason, call Justin, call this person, and just a quick, hey, how's it going? Just a reminder, this is what I'm looking for. how's business, takes 5 minutes. But then they remember you. And it's not like you're coming in cold and it's just a phone call. That person remembers you because you bought them a beer or a burger or something. So there's already a better relationship because you're starting with a warm contact. So finally, November, a broker called. My broker that we looked at that 96 unit back in July. We had met one more time, I think, in the late summer for a different property. And then in November, he called. And he said, I've got a silent listing. The seller wants to get an offer quick. You know, we don't want to really go through the whole big marketing package. We want, you know, this meets your criteria. So before the broker was thinking, before he went through all the work of putting together a whole offer memorandum and all that work on the presentation, if he could just bring me in, that saves him some work. But he's not advertising it to everyone else either. So he probably called a dozen people or 20 people. I have no idea how many he called. But he called me on Thursday. I was there on Monday. And we looked at the property. You have a question?
No, I was just going to kind of, as you explained what that term meant, silent listing.
Yeah.
I guess you kind of...
I mean, that's his term. That's what he called it. But it's basically like they're not it is listed, right, because they're with a broker, but they're not doing the full marketing package or the advertising. It didn't go on
.loop or MLS.
This was not on LoopNet. This was not on the MLS. This was not broadcasted through any means of email communication until after I had already made an offer.
Right. I mean, Justin may have been one of like 5 people who saw this thing.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know how many he called, but I know I was there 3 days later. That, I think, counts for something. Right? I was able, thankfully I'm in a position with my day job where they're flexible enough where I could take off and be down there in a few days. So I showed that I was serious. We'd been discussing. He brought me something that, I told you my criteria was a 50 unit. Okay, he brought me a 40 unit. Pretty good, right? I'm not going to say, oh no, 50 unit only, right? This is a great opportunity for me if the numbers work. Very, very happy with that. And all the other criteria that I had about value add opportunity, rents under market, property that needs the renovation, it hit all those boxes. So I actually, so we walked the property on Monday. It was overpriced. He wanted 2.5 or 2.45 or something. And I said, you know, this makes sense at 2.25. That's it. And they actually decided, you know what, we don't want 2.25. We're going to go think about it, or maybe we'll do the marketing package and see what happens. And so they started sending out emails and stuff, and I guess they didn't quite get the feedback that they wanted within the first few weeks, or maybe the seller got cold feet, because within 3 or 4 weeks he called back and they took our offer at just under 2.25. So I stuck to my numbers, the seller agreed, and we were able to move forward to actually do the due diligence on this property. Before we get into due diligence, a little bit about the contract is a little different than single-family residential. You know, we put in, we had a 30-day study period, which is the time to do all of your inspections and walkthroughs and get your estimates and line up, do your rent projections and get a feel, put this out to the investors and get a feel if you're gonna be able to raise the money for this type of thing. I also built in 2 30-day extensions if necessary. So the first getting it under contract was a $25,000 deposit. The first extension was another $15,000 deposit. The second extension was another $15,000 deposit. So $55,000 if I wanted to use the full set of extensions. Now that's still refundable up until the end of the last extension, but it's money that you have to come up with out of pocket.